Morning, everybody. Welcome to my channel. It's 8:10 a.m. It is November 19th. Our markets continue to be a little volatile. That's because we're in negative gamma. Pretty much, I'm seeing every day that you don't get these retests that I usually trade in futures. You're just not getting them. That's mainly because of um, what you call it, the negative gamma, which means it's very volatile. And what I'm talking about, I'm not talking about the market doesn't pull back. It does. But generally, how I trade is like the market will pull back, right? I'll get some large buying come in. And then what happens usually is we retest. And it could happen within a couple of minutes. We'll retest. And then I'll follow that. Those retests are not happening. Now, you do get a pullback. That's what I'm trying to explain. Market obviously pulls back, but when it does, it just rips. There's not much pullback, go up, retest. It doesn't. It's not. The market's just not doing that. So might have to change a little bit. Okay, I'm not going to change my A plus setups because they're just not coming right now. I understand that. Okay, I understand that. Yesterday I was live yesterday, and I was telling in my room that we're not probably going much lower today. That's the story of the market. We swept the lows. We came into demand in the ES, and we basically couldn't go lower. And the market wasn't that weak yesterday. Okay, that's why I look at internals. The internals were pointing towards not we're rocketing to the moon today, but probably not going to go much lower. Okay, and the shorts were kind of out of bullets. And I had a scalp that I got in when around 12:30, 12, let's say 12:25, 12:20. I was kept calling out to my room. I want to retest the VWAP and the SPX 6600 level, which also happened to be the VPOC, the developing VPOC at the time. And I said that's the level I wanted. I got in, and it was working, and then it back tested VWAP, and I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna sit here and let this rip my face off. So I went to the break even, and then it whipped me out, and then it went right. So it's okay. You live and die by the sword. Um, and I'm just refining scalping in a funded, like an eval account that I'm like halfway, more than halfway to passing it. So I'm just trying to work on. It's a little bit of a new style for me with my technical analysis to figure out certain ways how I'm going to handle. Right now, I went lighter with micros yesterday. I was doing minis. So I'll go to a mini if I see something that I'm like, okay, I've seen this before. All right. If it's kind of like I like this level and it's not something that it's like an A plus, everything screaming out to me, then I'm not going to go with a mini. I'm going to protect that capital. Okay. So with that being said, what do we have today? What do we have today? We have FOMC minutes. FOMC minutes is at 2 p.m. I hope to not be around the markets at all at 2 p.m. Okay. Sometimes that's a nothing burger. Most times it is a nothing burger. The minutes from the FOMC meeting, right? Now, the big thing today, though, is NVDA. NVIDIA is going to report earnings after the close today. That will not affect, obviously, the markets today, but they will report, and that's huge. They're the largest market cap stock in our stock market, so it moves our markets, and it will move our market. Okay? That's what's going on today. Now, we're kind of holding these lows, okay? And I think we're due for a range-bound market today. We have all unemployment data tomorrow. Okay. I think we're going to be range bound And sometimes when I say that, you might get a little dipsy-do, a quick move down that we recover. And I believe anything that happens today, even if it's a quick move up, that might be de-risked. Meaning we'll go back to the mean. All right, we'll go right back to let's wait, let's wait, let's wait. I don't want to hold the bag and have be long. I don't want to hold the bag and be short around NVIDIA's earnings. I don't want to hold the bag because unemployment data, we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, so without further ado, let's get into it. Welcome to my channel. My name is Steven Gonzalez. I use market profile and bond profile to find structure in the markets. Almost supply and demand, gamma exposure levels, the most traded price of the year, of the month, and the week, and the day, previous day. That's my edge. Hey, that's my edge. It's the way I look at market structure. Also use Anchor VWAP's market internals. Lets me know what's under the hood when the market opens. Bookmap helps me execute on those futures plays that I haven't really seen. And I use my weekly expected move indicator. Okay, gives you the range for a bunch of important tickers that move our markets, and 70% of the time the market closes inside that range. And yesterday, Microsoft hit its expected move to the downside. Okay, expected move to the downside this week in the SPY is 652.37, 582.92 in the Qs. Okay, AMD almost hit its expected move yesterday, which is 22251, 222.51. Okay, just trying to look at some other stocks. Meta almost tested that range. Looking at stocks just to give you guys a quick. Yeah, that's about what I'm seeing right now. Okay, so one major stock has hit its expected move to the downside. Okay, now I got off on a tangent on that, but that's very important. It's a big edge. All right, so if you join my Discord, you get that for free. Okay, now every morning, I do this every morning. I'll give you the market story, the real deal of the markets. Not a lot of fluff with me predicting like I'm some guru. Just a bunch of probabilities. Okay, so I'm a probabilistic trader. Everybody should be, right? I've tried to predict based on my feelings. Doesn't usually work out too good. Okay, and been watching a bunch of videos, and I'm gonna give a guy a shout out. This YouTube channel is called Zen Trader. Boy, oh boy, you listen to that dude, and we all know what we're supposed to do in trading. But this guy puts it out in a way that, like, I feel like that dude's sitting in my living room talking to me like he's my shrink. And I'm like, man, because we all know what to do, right? Technical analysis, it's not hard. It's not hard. Okay? I mean, I've sharpened that stone, and I feel like it's super sharp, right? It's all about our behavior, right? That's what it's about. Trading's about the behavior. All right, so I feel like my tech TA is pristine. It's awesome. All right, I could sit there and call out what's going to happen. Right, but you want to be able to show money from that analysis. And sometimes the market just doesn't set up, and you're right in analysis, but that's it. Right. Beauty is to simplify your system. Right? I look at a lot of stuff, but comes down to it, I'll literally say when I was live yesterday, I want to be long here. Sometimes it just doesn't set up. Right? And I don't like firing into a position, just firing in. The way the market is moving, because we're negative gamma, it's very wild. It's very whippy. So you don't have a lot of time to go, okay, if this pulls back. Like, you don't even have that, okay, if it pulls back. Oh, it's at my level. Well, it's at your level. Next thing you know, it's breaking up or to the downside. It's kind of crazy. All right, and this is what negative gamma brings. It brings volatility. Okay, now I've been going live, so that's why I haven't had too many posts, because I'm dropping golden nuggets live. Okay, so if you want to come join my Discord, it's Confluence Trading, come join. And I think my brightest asset, my most gifted asset, or the most valuable asset that I can provide is my technical analysis. Okay, I'm going to give you the gamma levels, the volume profile, all that stuff, and I basically break it down into just one big indicator is what I'm talking of what we should normally do at this point. And I think it's valuable, okay? Because what I'm going to try, like I said, I'm inviting quants or whoever to my channel and just come listen to me. Just come listen to me. And you tell me, if we can collaborate based on everything I see and what generally usually happens. I'm not claiming to be the best trader in the world because you need to be able to execute. Okay? Now, other markets for my style are easier when I get that retest and I can follow the big boys in like Delta Footprint or on a book map. Right? I get a lot of confidence from trading like that, and those setups just have not been coming. Right? So I invite anybody to come in and just listen and go, that guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Or what he just said might happen. Oh man, I would think you would think, okay, this guy understands the way the market moves, right? I can guarantee it. Okay? I can guarantee it. Now, because we're negative gamma, don't get me wrong, there's days where I'm confident in like where we'll go, and I'll put a SPX credit spread on for the 0 DTE. I will do that. But this market, I am not super confident because it's so whippy, right? That's the way it is. Okay? That's the way it is. So, with that being said, let's just get right into the futures watch list here. All right, looks like silver, the metals are getting some love this morning. Silver's up 2.57, gold up 1.04%, back over 4,100. Nasdaq's up 0.26%, Russell's up 0.24%. 30-year bonds are being bought. That should send yields a little lower. Dollar is pretty much flat. Dow's pretty much flat. 10-year yield is down. 10-year yield is down. We got mortgage rates. They went up because the 10-year yield has risen. Okay. Ethereum down 1.3. So this crypto is, I don't know what's going. It is not looking too hot. Okay. Bitcoin's back down after getting a little push up yesterday, down 1.39%. Okay. Down to 91. VIX is down, but we're at a 24 VIX, folks. 24 VIX is nice ranges, volatility, and you got to be quick. Okay, crude is getting destroyed. Crude's under $60 a barrel. I believe something that Russia will crude. So, yeah, crude, there's going to be an opportunity. Let's go under $50 a barrel. I know I'll probably be some along there. Okay, because we don't usually hang too much below $60 a barrel too long. All right, so that's what's going on there. Now it's going on to the Mag 7 Plus. Let's look at this. NVIDIA is getting love right now because they have earnings after the close. Okay, Google's been getting that love from the Berkshire Hathaway. All right, investment. Tesla's up 1.19%. Okay, let's see what else here. Who's lagging here? Microsoft down 0.22. Apple is down 0.24. Netflix with the new price of $113 now. That thing does not move like it used to. All right. Do a 10-to-1 split, just like a bunch of other major stocks have done. You take the volatility out of the mix. Netflix will move more like some other stocks, right? $100 stock's not going to move like a $1,000 stock. The bid and ask spread was usually wide there. Now Netflix, it's going to move nicely, right? You could trade it. It's probably more liquid options now. Let's move on. Top sectors. So you got the miner here catching some love. You got Palantir's been getting smashed up 1.8. Okay, Home Depot up. They had an earnings miss, but I believe Lowe's reported this morning. I don't know how they did, but most likely I'm going to guess they did okay. Then you got your Chevron, your Exxon, your oil going down. Let's get into the granular list here. Let's see if there's anything moving. There is. Unity Software is up 8.68%. You got Lowe's reported. Lowe's must have had good earnings. Interesting. Up 6.12. Oklo, that nuclear stock that has no revenue at all. It's a very, very speculative stock. Is up 5.88%. That's getting love. Iris Energy is getting love, up 3.23. That's been smashed as well. Okay, laggards. Target reported earnings. That's retail. They didn't have the best earnings. All right, and then you got Valero. That's an energy stock. Devon. That's oil. It's all oil stocks are down today. MicroStrategy had a nice little rally yesterday, but it's back down because of Bitcoin. All right, that's what's going on in our granular there list here. All right, let's move on to sectors here. Who's leading? That's discretionary. That's your Amazon and Home Depot and Tesla. That base materials. That's your metals. Utilities. That's your utilities. All right, up 0.31. Semis in the middle of the pack here. So is tech up. Who's the lagger? It's energy. Energy is up. I'm sorry, down 1.22%. I believe that's because of that Russia. Something with Russia. All I know, it's down. Okay. Now, we're going to move on. We're going to move on to economic calendar here. All right, so today, 30-year mortgage rates, they're up because that 10-year yield was rising. All right, that's not a surprise. Let's see here, 10:30 EIA crude inventories, 2 p.m. FOMC minutes. Like I said, maybe this one moves markets. Then you got Fed Williams speaking at 2 p.m. A bunch of these that would normally come out because the government shutdown are not coming out today. Or are they? No, doesn't look like they are. All right, tomorrow, non-farm payrolls. We know that. All right, let's look at the juice. What's the juice got for us? Let me just refresh this. Cloudflare was out yesterday. Affected a lot of stocks. Now that just shows me almost, wow, Cloudflare is pretty integrated into our lives there. Okay, so, almost like CrowdStrike last year when it went down, right? It was like, whoa, that stock's really got a moat there. My lord. All right. Let's look at, is there Trump today? Let's see. Well, we get Mirren speaking. That's Trump's boy out of the Fed at 10 a.m. Trump speaks at noon. Fed barking at 12:45. Okay, so Trump speaking at noon. Hopefully I'm done for the day. Okay. Hopefully I am done for the day there. All right. Now, there's nothing really. Let's see here. Okay. We'll probably get into the oil thing in a second. Let's see if there's any stock updates for this morning. There we go. Give you guys a little news here. We'll go quickly. NVDA stock gained 1.7 ahead of the tech giants' earnings after the close, which are seen as a litmus test for AI-driven rally. We noticed lows, stock surge. Here's the lows. Lows meaning the company. Stock surge 6.1 after the home improvement retail raised its annual sales target. Interesting that had better earnings than Home Depot. Target just has been getting slammed. Stock fell 2.4 after the big box retail chain reported a bigger than expected drop in quarterly comparable sales. Boeing stock rose 4.6 after the aircraft manufacturer announced a provisional order for 75 of its 737 MAX jets. Interesting. Lazy Boy. I actually bought a couch from them. I'm not sure if it was this year. I think it's this year. Stock rose 11% after the iconic feature retailer reported strong second quarter earning results. ON semiconductor stock gained 3.2. DoorDash stock rose 2.8 after Jefferies upgraded its rating. All right, moving on. All right, let's see. Did we already talk about that? Tesla gets permit for ride-hailing service in Arizona, so that's positive for that stock. Let's look at oil. Come on. Oil prices slipped as an industry report showed higher crude inventories in the U.S., reinforcing concerns about oversupply. All right, there we go. All right. I think we're going to be done with that. Let's look if there's any upgrades and downgrades today. Let's look at these upgrades. Let's see. DoorDash upgraded. There's that DoorDash upgrade. And Lazy Boy got an upgrade, obviously, from those earnings. Downgrades. This list is pretty horrid usually. Downgraded. Home Depot. QS. Downgrade to QS. Okay, those are downgrades today. Now, one chart I want to give you here is, okay, this is a very important chart. This is called a bullish percent index. And all that really matters is This is based on point and figure charts. Who cares what that is? You can look that up yourself. Doesn't really matter. It doesn't use time to configure this or to come up with this analysis. All that matters is what you're seeing here is the bullish percent index of the technology sector. Okay, and you have RSI here. It's oversold. And look at this number. Okay, the last time we were here, well, April was like at 5%. And all this means, okay, means that it's 15% of stocks in the technology sector are at a buy signal. 15% of stocks are at a buy signal in the technology sector. Okay, it's pretty extreme. What I'm saying is, probably this is a relaxed shorts. Okay, can we go lower? Yeah, this is April. Right, that's an extreme. But look where we normally go here. That's a low. That's a low. That's a low. We are here. Okay, so this is getting a little overdone as far as tech. So just like my weekly expected move indicator, right? Where I say, hey, if we hit an expected move to the downside or the upside, usually 70% of the time, don't expect much more room past that. This is kind of the same thing. How much can tech go down? It can. It's just probably not much more. Okay? So think about the rotation. We probably will get maybe it into the end of the year, maybe. I don't know. I'm just giving you this information. Okay? I'm just giving you this information. So that's called a bullish percent index. That's all that means. The percent now is only 15% of stocks are on buy signals. That's not a lot, folks. That means 85% are not. Okay? I just wanted to give you that chart. All right, now we're going to move on. We're going to move on to market internals from yesterday. Market internals recap. Here we go. When I was live on my channel, I always use this as my bread and butter to say, hey, how was this market looking? All right, and I quote what I said yesterday when I was live. Let me just get my marker up here. I was pointing this out in my room. Okay, I was saying, okay, normally a reading of like negative 400 is very, very, very weak in a non-volatile, not negative gamma market. All right, but I said this could be gone and get positive very quickly. Another thing I said was these ADDs, which is an advanced decline line, okay, were never really that negative. They were pretty much in parity. And that's why I was talking to the room and saying, okay, tech is weak, so is discretionary. But I said, let's look at those stocks. Okay? Where are they? This is what the important part is. They were hitting major levels. And I'm like, this market really got to take this rest of the market down. These two sectors have to take the rest of the market with it, and it couldn't do it. And this is the pullback that I wanted right here. 6,600 was a major gamma level, right there. It was a major negative gamma level. And I was like, man, I want the pullback to come back to the VWAP, which VWAP was around here. And look what I'm talking about. See, I was long here, and it was VWAP was like right over here. And I was like, oh, man. Because like when I'm scalping, I'm going to break even pretty quickly. This one, I gave it a little room, and I said, you know what? I don't want this to come all the way back and whip me, and then it just ripped. Okay. So this is very important. You look at all these numbers. They all mean something. Okay. And there is a on my Discord, I do have a video here. I'll show you here. If you guys want to check it out. Market education, market internals. If you play this video, it's bookmarked right to the spot where I explain in detail that whole window, the market internals. If you want to look at that, go ahead. Okay. So that's your market internals. We're going to go right over to the daily charts now. Let's look at these dailies. All right. You can see that expected move is running right up with the 100-day moving average. That's last month's lows. Who knows if I don't know if we get there. I have no clue. Okay, no clue at all. We do have a trend line here. Maybe I just fix this trend line here now. Okay, this is what we did yesterday. Kind of like a range bound day, right? We tried to come back into last week's range, got rejected. I was looking at a short here later in the day, and I was like, we're just ranging here. I'm like, this is a low. I don't think we go much higher based on the charts. We wound up breaking that, but that was like, poof, what were we up there for? Almost 2.5 hours. We ranged at the top there, and I said, this is such an area of resistance. I was like, that's a poor long. But the short was poor too because we were just hanging out there at key levels. And I was just like, this is better off for me to take a walk, and I just didn't trade it. So, where are we now? 662. 662 is right here. We're right at where? The open of yesterday. The open. Okay, yesterday's open. Almost nothing really to see there. Let's look at the futures here. Futures here. Let's see. Look what we did in futures. Now, this is important. All right, I have a daily chart to show you guys in futures in my NinjaTrader that will show this pretty nicely. Maybe even in Thinkorswim, my futures it might show it. It might show it. Okay. Let's see. So we hit the 100-day moving average in futures. I got bought. You got some support here. So let's see what happens today, okay? So we're below last week's range. You can see in futures that was resistance last week's lows, okay? Qs. Look at those Qs. It's been relatively weak, okay? Relatively weak. Look what we did yesterday. Opened up here. Tried to attempt. We were inside last week's range. We closed back outside of it. Back outside of it. Still below the 50-day moving average. Okay. Here's the expected move down to the downside, 582. 100-day moving average is right here. Last month's lows right here, 589. Okay. You can see that big bar here. I think that's a big barometer there for our markets to see if we can take that out. Now, where are we at now? 598.50. 598.50 is right here. We're pretty much at the midpoint of yesterday's session. Garbage location. Not the best. Not the best. Okay, so let's look at futures here. Futures, you can see you pretty much hit that 50-day moving average to the tick. Right there. Okay, see how we're battling last week's range? There's last week's range. We're right inside of last week right now. Right inside of last week. There's that big bar that I'm talking about. Big barometer. If you lose that, that would definitely cause more downside. We'll have to see. That's a big barometer there for the markets. But we're inside yesterday's range, at the midpoint of yesterday. Very poor location. Okay. Like I said, I'm not expecting much today. All right. Use yesterday's range as a barometer. Okay. We held the 100-day moving average. Remember what I said about the bullish percent index of the technology sector. Let's just look. That's the bullish percent index. Let's just look at XLK real quick. I want to see in the RSI. Where is it? It's not oversold yet, but I just wanted to see. All right. Now, what was I going to look at next? That was your Qs and your futures. All right. Let's look at the breadth. That's our percentage of stocks over the 50-day moving average. That went down a little bit yesterday. We're 36%. Getting weak. Notice that you're really weak when you go down to like the 4%, 3%, right? So it is weakening though. All right, that's the breadth. That is the breadth. All right. Now let's move on. Oh, real quick. Let me do this real quick. Let's look at our little Bitcoin. Let's look at our Bitcoin. Just give me a sec here while I pull this up here. And we're going to look at the Bitcoin. See what our Bitcoin's doing. Okay. Here's our Bitcoin. Okay. This is a daily chart. Remember, I have the most traded price of the rolling years right here that I told you guys. That's 95,700. You're holding under this. Okay. If you can't recapture this, I see another high volume node here around the 84s, and then you can go down to the 77s. I don't know what's going to happen, but we're kind of making some volume down here, right? So if you want to go a little more granular here, we're going to go to the month, right? So this is a profile of the month. Most traded price was 108. Okay, we got our anchored VWAP right here for the month. So we're under the anchored VWAP for the month. The week to date anchored VWAP's in green. We're under that as well. And notice the volume we're putting in here. Around 91,500. 91,500. All right. 95,100 right here. That is your most traded price of this week. You can see the amount of volume that's hitting right there. Okay. That's our Bitcoin. Ethereum. Let's look at, that's the monthlies. Hold on, let me go to dailies. Here's our dailies of Ethereum. Ethereum is playing with that 200-day moving average. It's underneath the anchor VWAP of this year. Okay. We have not reached the most traded price of the year, which is 26.25. 26.25. Okay. And you can see we're just moving sideways. So playing with that 200-day moving average, that's not a coincidence. All right. That's just our look at the little crypto charts there. We're going to move on to the hourlies here. Let's look at these hourlies together. There's a channel we've been playing inside of. All right. There's a channel we've been playing inside of. Let's go to the hourlies. Hourly charts. All right. Where's price? Price right here. 66.53. And you can clearly see this little channel, right? A touch here, touch here. We touched it yesterday. You bounced off it, right? Got a downtrend here. Okay. Now what you can see is that I have an anchored VWAP from this low. Notice how it's flattening out, and the anchored VWAP from this high is flattening out. That just tells me we're getting ready to range. Okay, you can see they're flattening. So I can see a bunch of trading range in here today. Why? Because we have NVIDIA's earnings after the close. Tomorrow's unemployment data. 66.70 between this high volume node, this triple-headed high volume node that I keep talking about, right, is your barometer. Notice how we try to come back into this range, try to come back, and then we fail. We try to come back, and we fail. Market to get bullish needs to take out that range. Okay, that's as simple as you could say it. Market to get bullish needs to take out that range. Okay, you can see in the overnight we had a little sweepy sweep here, where it was like whoop, boom, sweep, and then guess what? You took out these highs, and now what? Are we going to start trending? I don't know. Okay, but I do know the 66.70 is a very important level. It's the lower, it's the third head of that triple-headed high volume node here. Okay, very important. All right, a lot of volume transacting there. Let's look at our little volume profile. Let's just look at it from here. Let's see what that shows us. There you go. Not a surprise, right? Most traded price 66.75, right around this area. Not a surprise. The value area is here. 66.90 to 66.10. That's the 70% of the trading volume. Very visual, right? Very visual. All right. And the beauty that I love about volume profile is you can find support and resistance real easy. See just a low volume node here? Look at that. That's a resistance level, right? If you see a big shelf like this, that's a support. This would be your resistance level. Look at that, resistance, right? And you really have that's just showing you the amount of volume. There's not a lot of chasms. There's so much volume trading here, right? Until you get up to here. Now look at this. I'll show you right here. This is a low volume node right here. See how it only spent time there? So low volume nodes, okay, could be support and resistance, or they get blown through. Notice right here as I'm speaking, this was a low volume node, and then look, the market just ripped through it. There's just not a lot of volume there. Okay, and then look, the market when it trades in all this volume, that's why we're just going back and forth. Okay. All right. Let's take this off. Let's move on to the Nasdaq. So you can see we're playing with last week's lows right here. This is your Nasdaq. Remember that line in the sand of the Nasdaq is your 248s. Look where we had resistance yesterday. 248s. Important level, right? So again, how do I look at the markets? Remember when in the morning I always say the most traded price of the month, the week, and these are high volume nodes, right? So what does the market need to do? We broke last week's lows yesterday, right? And then we couldn't hold it under here. And now look, we had that sweep again, and now we're trying to push up. So how would you say, oh, I don't know if this market's going to go up or not? Well, let's judge it on 248. Can the market take out 248, pull back to it? There you go. That could be a move. Unless we stay under 248. That's bearish. Okay, that's how you look at it. That's all you got to do to look at that. Okay, anchor VWAP from these lows yesterday. It's flattening out, right? Look at that right there, pulled right back to it. But this is the anchored VWAP from this high, right? See, they're flattening out. All right, flattened VWAPs generally mean range-bound markets. And I don't need the VWAP to tell me that. I mean, I could see we're going into NVDA, unemployment. I don't need that. It just shows me, all right, average buyer, average seller, flattening out. All right. Expecting news, I can see range. Okay. A lot of overhead supply here. All those red boxes, a lot of overhead supply. Lots. But 248, I want to see how the market reacts to it. 248. I'll throw a volume profile on there again. Let's do it from this right here. Boom. There it is. Alrighty. I did it from a little way back here. That would change, I bet you, any money. But there's the high volume, 21540. Here's another high volume node right here. If I probably cinch that one more up out of this day where it's down, and I go to like here, let's see what we do. There you go. There's more of the 24732s. That's the high volume node. And you can see 70% of the trade has just been in this area. Okay, now, again, a little bit of volume profile magic. If you're like, man, I suck at support and resistance levels. Okay, there's a low volume node. Let's go a line across. Whoop. Resistance. Resistance, right? Oh, big shelf. Big shelf. Oh, resistance, right? So, and when you get these real chasms, that's what I'm saying. That doesn't spend much time there. You got a nice support and resistance, okay? Beautiful thing, volume profile. Very easy on the eyes. That's why I love it. Very easy. And it shows behavior. It doesn't show a moving average. It shows behavior. That's the beauty. Shows the behavior of participants in the markets, agreeing on the most traded price, right? That becomes a place that people like to go. Okay. Now we're going to switch over to the market profile and volume profile analysis, give you the long and short trade scenarios in the Nasdaq and ES futures based on just what I was seeing, right? This is where we get into the nitty gritty, right? This is your market profile and volume profile analysis. Okay, and we'll get right into it. Let's bump this up a little bit. Alrighty. Probably expand this a little bit here. Okay. Let's do this. Okay. First thing you notice, okay, big range yesterday. You have a poor high in the overnights. Where? At that key 66.70 level, right? But this is what you got to notice. First of all, you got overnight highs, overnight lows. Yesterday's highs, yesterday's lows, called RTH high, RTH low. You're inside yesterday's session. Okay? You're inside yesterday's session. All right? Not at the best location. Not at the best location. Okay? Couple areas you want to mark off, obviously, is yesterday's lows and the overnight lows. That's a pretty horrible box. Hold on. So you got a demand zone here, so we're going to include that in here. Okay. Now, value area low from yesterday lines up right with our overnight lows. Okay. You got a couple demand zones here. You got the most traded price of the overnight right here. Big level here really is that lower portion of that triple-headed high volume node here. That's 66.70s. You got supply there. Overnight high has a poor high. Then you have yesterday's highs. We'll line it up with this middle high volume node. Okay? This is also value area high from yesterday. Remember, value area is 70% of the trading volume. All right? That's the meat of where everybody was trading. Most active participants, 70% of the trade. Outside of that is kind of like not as much, right? So let's break this out. And let's see the price action. There's the price action from the overnight. Market profile is just 30-minute bars. That's all the market profile is 30-minute bars. That's it. Okay. So let's get into scenarios. We're going to start off right here. Let me see what I start off with. Probably a bear side today, because I feel like they're in control. Not I feel. They are. All right. You're below this triple head of high volume nodes. It's got to be bearish. Okay. Remember I said bullish in the macro sense is you take this out. All right. So we're here. We have a poor high, which just means poor location of longs in the overnights right there. That is not a tail in the markets. Okay, that's incomplete. So what I'd like to see is the market take out overnight highs. Take it out. Take that overnight highs out, and that happens to be last week's lows. Okay, that we cannot get over somehow. You can't do it. Right? So this would be a nice little trap, a bull trap, because you're going to play off this 66.70 level. What I'd like to see is a push up, a stuff, a retest, and then you can take this down. All right. Now there is demand here. There is a nice size demand here. This could be it. But in this market, what I would think would happen is you probably cascade all the way down here. And you probably bounce here. Okay, gravy would be, yeah, we go all the way down to the lows. Do we do that? I don't know. Okay, but I just really like this setup here. Really like it. Okay, really like it a lot. Now, can you go higher? Sure, but once we go higher into this area, you saw it yesterday. Remember what I said yesterday? If we spend any time in this area, it's just going to be ugly. That's what we did over here because it's such a high volume concentrated area that you don't want to get caught in this spider web up here in here. That is going to be disgusting. Okay? So as long as we reject this area, that's a nice move. You do have longs, right? Getting paid from the lows, from the lows, from these swing lows, from these swing lows. Okay? So, and then like I said, I think we range bound. Honestly, it's probably the only thing I'm interested in as far as a short. All right? Move on to longs. We could definitely get a long off the open here. I could very much see it. Okay? Let's do that. So, we have a big demand zone. You see how we came into this demand 2 times now and got bought. Okay? So, just a little inverse of what I just said, right? Let's say the market pulls back. And let's say we pull back what? To yesterday's close? To the most share price over the overnights? To the bottom of this demand? Like it's like a stacked demand. Maybe we get boom, boom. And I think we take out that poor high. Guess what? That could be it. 66.70. I'm probably taking my profits. Okay? And that just goes within what I'm saying is that we can be range bound. Now the bear trap would be okay, we take this out, we go down, break the overnight lows, and everyone's going right? And let's say we just take out these lows from yesterday and we put in a higher low. I think this is a de-risk long, okay, because NVDA is reporting. De-risk long, we have unemployment data tomorrow. Okay? That's what I'm looking at for today. Moving on to the NASDAQ. All right, moving on to the NASDAQ. Is it similar? I don't know. I remember I do this live with you guys every day. I don't prepare. This is my process. This is how I prepare. I don't even know what I'm going to say right now. All right, I have no clue until we look at it. All right, so let's look at this together and go through some levels here. Okay, already beautiful level right here. Overnight lows, 24446s. And you got yesterday's lows, 24380s. That's a nice little range there. Okay, nice little range. Price is right here. Remember, this session is inside yesterday. You got an inside session right now of yesterday's range. So you want to play edges here. That's what you want to do. You want to play the edges. Okay, and you do have similar structure here to the ES. Similar structure. Here's last week's lows right there. Price is right back into last week's range. Okay, now the big level here is right here. Right here. That is the big level, folks. 248s. 248s. That's your trip. That's the equivalent to the triple headed high volume node. In the ES is the 248s. What has the market told you yesterday? Well, yeah, you tried to get over the 248s and you could not. So as long as we stay under 248s, the market is more bearish in structure. Okay? As long as we stay under the 248s, sellers are in control. Okay? Take it out, that changes things. Markets told you it's can't right now. Markets told you it can't. Okay? I'll even include this 24857s as a resistance as well. And we do have supply, a big, pretty decent supply zone here that came in here, and it's hit its head there a couple times. Okay? Now we do have a couple demand zones here where I think you can get scalps off of them, but long-term, big moves, not sure because you're inside the range. Most people are going to be active around this area. I'll even put, look, that's the kind of like this area, right? Another stacked little box. That's where people are going to be active. right? You want to trade where most people are active. Now, again, if you're scalping a couple points or something like that, that doesn't pertain to that. But if you want to have a little bit of a bigger move, trade where most people are getting out and most people are getting in. That's the basics of trading, right? Most people have pain. You want to get in. All right, so we do have somewhat of an incomplete profile as well up here, just like we do in the ES. So let's break it out and get in here and then get you guys out of here. Let's break it out. Not sure who's with me this morning. All right, not sure if Cole is here. Mark. Maybe we have documents. Has a lot of aliases, this guy. Documents. Got introduced to his boy Mike. Good guy. All right, Rosita. I don't know if she's here. Somebody's here, but we'll get into it. Let's do the scenarios. Let's do the scenarios. And we're going to start with the bear side. All right. I do think we're in for a push up. Okay, because we're trending up. We tried to go lower. We tried to go lower again. We could not. I feel that what we could do is dip a little bit into this demand, come right up here, break those overnight highs, go right to the 248s. And that's a nice trade, folks. I'm sorry. Yeah, this is a short side. So that's going to be my long scenario. Let me switch that up again. That's what I still feel it can happen. And what do I feel like can happen? Well, if you do one of these and you're like, oh man, this is going, and you get stuffed, you retest, we're going to come down. If you break that little support here, go back under last week's lows. I don't think this would be easy in this demand. I'm just being honest. But we could test this support. That would be a nice trade. If you break that support right there, if you break that support, that's about 254, 2.4s. We're going to probably hit the overnight lows and test the yesterday's lows. And then I don't know how much we can go, but I think we de-risk. That's all I care about as far as a short, as far as right now. Plans could change when the market opens, but that's what I care about right now. Now, long side. Okay, long side. Okay, let's go over it. And it's very viable. Now, a lot of the stuff, unfortunately, sometimes when I'm talking, happens like a blueprint. Like I planned it, I worked out, and it's just off the open. And it's wild, it's crazy, and it works anyway. And I'm just like, how the hell would I have traded that? Right? I avoid the opens usually, but it's like sucks because a lot of my plans happen right in the opening. And I'm just like, well, it worked, but like, I feel like I had to be insane. How am I going to enter that? Right? Now, here we go. So this is what I think. Break this little support here. Maybe touch last week's lows, right? And I think in this demand zone, you get a little push up, little push, because these people got paid. These shorts need to get paid. You ride this pain from these shorts going, you break the overnight highs, you hit the 248s, you say goodbye. You say goodnight, you take your profits. Okay? You take your profits. Now, what could happen also? A drive lower to this support here. Okay? It's pretty big support, 254, 2.4s. Maybe you get a little push here, higher low. I think you can still do the same thing. Now, the bear trap would be one of these. We go, and let's say tech is selling off. We break the overnight lows. You break the RTH lows from yesterday. And if you get a recovery and a lower high, this could be the de-risk, and we just de-risk for NVIDIA's earnings, for unemployment data. All right? That is it, folks, for me today. Hopefully you enjoyed that analysis. If you did, smash the like button. Smash the like button. That would be much appreciated. Okay? Much appreciated. Now, as always, please join me every day. I do this every morning. I'll give you the market story, the market news, economic calendar. Let me be your podcast. Let me be your morning cup of coffee, your tea. Okay? I give you a bunch of technical analysis like I did, right? Remember that bullish percent index. Okay? I just gave you long and short trade scenarios in the Nasdaq and ES futures that usually come to fruition. Unfortunately, sometimes they come right off the open, and I'm like, well, if I don't trade the open, I don't feel like I have much edge in trading that wild open. So, but if you do, maybe, man, I follow your advice every day and I'm making millions of dollars. I'll be like, geez. All right. So anyway, bottom line is sign up, sign up, sign up. Now, if you want more details, you want to get in my head and see what I'm seeing, trust you, I am going to guide you. I'm going to be the best indicator. I'm going to be the best indicator for your trading, and I don't tell you how to trade, but I will be the best indicator for your trading. Okay, so that's join my Discord, Confluence Trading. Go to the YouTube homepage, click on the link, and sign up. What are you waiting for? Let me be your indicator. I'm telling you right now. I'm telling you right now. I'm not going to steer you because I know after you watch me a little bit, and I'm not going to get dissuaded by price action. Okay? I'm not going to get dissuaded by a 5-minute candle. I'm going to be like, all right, I know we're pushing down, but we really don't have a weak market. Or we're pushing up, but I really don't think we got much more juice. And again, I'm giving snapshots of the next 5 to 10 minutes. Okay? But if they don't change much, oh yeah, I can predict the rest of the day. Okay? It's always snapshots. It's never, Steve said you can't go lower, and we did. It's like, well, at the time, no. Okay? So, come join. Come join. I should be live today again. Come join. Starting a little community. People are coming in. We're getting friendly. We're talking. We're BSing. We're laughing. But then, I'm giving my TA. All right? So, everybody, if I don't see you in my room, which I hope I do, I'll see you guys tomorrow.